Right, I've had a request today actually to read the story of Jack and the Beanstalk because that's what someone's doing as part of their work. Now, I had a look around. I couldn't find the book, so I went on the internet and found a story, which I'm going to read to you now. And remember, it's a fairy tale, so all the versions are slightly different. It's pretty similar to the one you're used to, I'm sure, but it may not be quite the same. So, here goes. Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there lived a widow woman and her son, Jack, on their small farm in the country. Every day, Jack would help his mother with the chores, chopping the wood, weeding the garden, and milking the cow. But despite their hard work, Jack and his mother were poor, with barely enough money to keep themselves fed. "What shall we do? What shall we do?" said the widow one spring day. "We don't have enough money to buy seed for the farm this year. We must sell our cow, Old Bess, and with the money, buy enough seed to plant a good crop." "All right, mother," said Jack. "It's market day today. I'll go into town and I will sell Bessie." So Jack took the cow's halter in his hand, walked through the garden gate, and headed off towards town. He hadn't gone far when he met a funny-looking old man who said to him, "Good morning, Jack." "Good morning to you," said Jack, wondering how the little old man knew his name. "Where are you off to this fine morning?" said the man. "I'm going to market to sell our cow, Bessie." "Well, what a helpful son you are," exclaimed the man. "I have a special deal for such a good boy like you." The little old man looked around to make sure no one was watching, and then opened his hand to show Jack what he held. "Beans?" said Jack, a little confused. "They're magical bean seeds, to be exact, young man. 1, 2, 3. So magical they are that if you plant them overnight, by morning they grow right up to the sky," promised the funny little man. "And because you're such a good boy, they're all yours in trade for that old milking cow." "Really?" said Jack. "And you're quite sure they're magical?" "I am indeed. And if it doesn't turn out to be true, then you can have your cow back." "Well, that sounds fair," said Jack, as he handed over Bessie's halter, pocketed the beans, and headed back home to show his mother. "Back already, Jack?" asked his mother. "I see you haven't got old Bess. You've sold her so quickly. How much did you get for her?" Jack smiled, reached into his pocket. "Just look at these beans, mother. They're magical. Plant them overnight." "And what?" cried Jack's mother. "Oh, silly boy! How could you give away our milking cow for 3 measly beans?" And with that, she did the worst thing Jack had ever seen her do. She burst into tears. Jack ran upstairs to his little room in the attic. So sorry he was. He threw the beans angrily out of the window, thinking, "How could I have been so foolish? I've broken my mother's heart." After tossing and turning, at last Jack dropped off to sleep. When Jack woke up the next morning, his room looked strange. The sun was shining into part of it like it normally did, and yet all the rest was quite dark and shady. So Jack jumped up and dressed himself and went to the window. And what do you think he saw? I think you're right. Why, the beans he had thrown out the window into the garden had sprung up into a big beanstalk, which went up and up and up until it reached the sky. Using the leaves and twisty vines like the rungs of a ladder, Jack climbed and climbed until at last he reached the sky. And when he got there, he found a long, broad road winding its way through the clouds to a tall, square castle off in the distance. Jack ran up the road towards the castle, and just as he reached it, the door swung open to reveal a horrible lady giant with one great eye in the middle of her forehead. As soon as Jack saw her, he turned to run away, but she caught him and dragged him into the castle. "Don't be in such a hurry. I'm sure a growing boy like you would like a nice big breakfast," said the great big tall woman. "It's been so long since I got to make breakfast for a boy." Well, the lady giant wasn't a bad sort after all, even if she was a bit odd. She took Jack into the kitchen and gave him a chunk of cheese and a glass of milk. But Jack had only taken a few bites when there was a thump, thump, thump. The whole house began to tremble with the noise of someone coming. "Goodness gracious me! It's my husband," said the giant woman, wringing her hands. "What on earth shall I do? There's nothing he likes better than boiled boys on toast, and I haven't got any bread left. Oh dear, I should have never let you stay in for breakfast. Here, come quick, jump in here." And she hurried Jack into a large copper pot sitting behind the stove, just as her husband came in. He ducked inside the kitchen and said, "I'm ready for my breakfast. I'm so hungry I could eat 3 cows. Ah, what's that I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he live or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "Nonsense, dear," said his wife. "We haven't had a little boy for breakfast in years. Now you go and wash up, and by the time you come back, your breakfast will be ready."